You ever find yourself staring at your phone thinking, should I call him? Nah, maybe. What if he's with someone else? What if he thinks I'm clingy? But what if I don't call and he forgets I exist? Yeah. Welcome to modern love. Let's be honest, dating today feels like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, blindfolded, during a tornado. One moment you're laughing over coffee, the next he's vanished like free Wi-Fi in the woods. And you're left wondering, did I miss a memo? Was there a playbook I never got? If you've ever questioned when to lean in or when to let go, whether a man's silence means he's confused or just not interested, or if you've ever walked out of a date thinking, was that connection or just a crab salad? Then this one's for you. Because today, we're going to talk about something every smart, emotionally available woman has asked herself at least once, maybe twice a week. And no, it's not just about who should pay on the first date. Stick around. What we're about to dive into might just flip your entire outlook on relationships. In the best possible way. Sometimes, a guy will make a move on a woman, dropping hints, pushing boundaries, angling for something physical when it's neither wanted nor invited. Now, how are we supposed to respond to that? Is it normal? Why does this happen? First off, let's be real. In our society, men are often raised with some backward expectations about what it means to pursue someone. Somewhere along the way, some of us got the idea that being persistent, even when the answer is no, is just part of the game. That's not persistence. That's pressure. And it's not okay. Some guys think just because they took a woman out for coffee, a movie, dinner, they're owed something in return. Like she's on some invisible payment plan for his attention. That's where it gets dangerous. Because when a man sees basic kindness as a transaction, he's no longer seeing her as a human being. He's seeing her as a prize, a target. And no, that's not normal. It's a problem. But I get where the confusion starts. In this world full of noise, a man might think he's stuck between two stereotypes. If he makes a move, he risks being seen as aggressive. If he doesn't, someone might label him weak. So he acts out of fear. Fear of being judged, misunderstood, or overlooked. Still, none of that excuses ignoring someone's boundaries. Here's the truth. Being a real man means knowing how to hear no and still hold your head high. It means being able to appreciate a woman's presence without expecting her body. If a woman says she's not ready for that kind of relationship, or that she reserves physical closeness for marriage or deeper commitment, then that's something to respect, not challenge, not ridicule. It all comes down to how it's said and how it's heard. A man with character won't run from honesty. He might not agree, but he'll respect it. And if he doesn't, then you already know what kind of man he really is. Now to the women reading this, please, don't laugh off behavior that makes you uncomfortable. Don't turn it into a joke just to ease the tension in the room. When you make light of a guy crossing a line, he might assume you're okay with it. Be clear. Be firm. And if you need to walk away, do it with your head high. And fellas, if you hear a no, that's not an invitation to convince her otherwise. That's your cue to step back, to show grace, because that's where your dignity lives. And one more thing, don't take someone out just because you're hoping for something physical at the end of the night. Take her out because you want to know who she is, because you value her time, her thoughts, her presence. That's the kind of connection that builds something real. So yeah, it's complicated, but that's life. We're all trying to figure it out. Just don't forget, mutual respect is the bottom line. Always. Sometimes a man needs space. I don't mean packing a bag and disappearing to Jamaica with no warning, leaving behind a woman, 3 kids, and a mortgage. That's abandonment. That's a whole different conversation. No, I'm talking about those moments when a man says, I just need to be alone right now. Maybe he's figuring himself out. Maybe he's lost, tired, burned out. And the truth is, if that man isn't your husband, if there's no life built together yet, then your best move is to step back and let him breathe. Now, why is that hard for some women? Because there's this invisible emotional string that ties two people together, when they connect. And when one person steps back, the string tightens. The distance feels unnatural. So what does she do? She tries to pull him back. Texts, calls, long emotional talks, a million. Just checking in. Messages. But that only stretches the string thinner. If you tug too hard, snap. And once it breaks, it rarely ties back the same way. We weren't meant to live glued to each other. Raise your hand if you've seen couples that are always together, working, eating, folding laundry, grocery shopping, never out of each other's sight. It might seem sweet at first, but over time, it turns suffocating. Even love needs air to breathe. Here's a little old school wisdom. Call it samurai, cowboy, I don't care. A man shouldn't be home more than 4 hours awake with nothing to do. Otherwise, he's just pacing around, turning into a pressure cooker. And no, sleeping doesn't count. Rest is rest. Stillness is something else. Now back to this emotional string. When a man pulls away, and you let him go without a fuss, without chasing, something strange often happens. He comes back. Not because you begged. Not because you guilt-tripped. But because he wanted to. Because that space gave him clarity. It gave him time to remember what you meant to him. But chase him? Corner him with questions, try to figure it all out. That string will break, and you'll lose him for good. So what should a woman do when he distances himself? Simple, live your life. Seriously, go on with your day. You don't have to run off with someone new just to prove you're fine. But don't sit around like your world's crumbling either. Stay busy. Keep your mind engaged. If you think of him, let yourself miss him. That's human. But don't let that longing drive you to act out of fear or insecurity. The more obsessed you become with what went wrong, or why hasn't he called, the more you push him further. Men sense that pressure. And it doesn't pull them in, it pushes them out. And here's the twist. Yeah, men can be needy too. Some of us get dramatic. We might disappear and then reappear demanding proof that you still care. Suddenly we're asking, do you even love me? Why haven't you called? Trust me, male hysteria is real. It just wears quieter clothes. But whether it's him or you acting out, the rule is the same. Don't force it. Let things settle. If he calls on day 1, great. If he doesn't call until day 3, also fine. And if he never calls back, that's your answer. No decoding necessary. So if a man pulls away, let him go. If he's worth your time, he'll find his way back. And if he doesn't, then all you did was make space for someone better. Can a woman call a man? Absolutely. But let's not overdo it. Call once. That's it. No chasing. No double texts. No long voicemails at midnight explaining your heart's geography. Because calling him isn't the problem. It's what you say that matters. Here's what not to say. Don't call and unload everything you've been holding back. Don't tell him how bad it felt when he didn't reach out. How you sat there staring at your phone like it was a crystal ball. Don't say, I just wanted to understand. Or, I thought we had something. Or, you disappeared and that hurt. Don't make that call about your wounds. Instead, keep it light. Tell him something good that happened to you. Give him something that makes him smile. Let him know you're good with or without him. That's the move. Why? Because men don't overanalyze a simple, hey, I thought of you when this funny thing happened. It doesn't scream desperation. It says confidence. It says you have a life, with or without him. And for the women who ask, why shouldn't I call? Isn't it unfair? Here's the truth. If a man wants to talk to you, he will. He's not tied to a chair in some underground lair, held hostage by his phone's dead battery. He's just not reaching out because, for now, he doesn't feel the need. So if that's the case, don't go dialing him like you're his personal emergency contact. Call a friend. Call your mom. Call your dog's vet if you have to. But don't call him just because your mind's spiraling. And let's address the insecurity head on. What if he's with someone else? What if he is? Then let him go. If he's choosing someone else over you, That's not rejection. That's redirection. That's your sign to walk away with your dignity intact. Now, real quick, notice how many women try to give a guy a title he hasn't earned. We're talking, we're kind of seeing each other, we've been close since 1987. Stop. If there's no commitment, there's no claim. You don't get to call someone yours just because you've been emotionally investing in a ghost. And please, don't throw around phrases like, the man I love, when the guy hasn't even shown up consistently. Don't romanticize a person who hasn't even defined what you are. Let's also talk about that common trap, using physical intimacy as a band-aid. Things feel uncertain, so what's the thought? Well, maybe if I sleep with him, he'll come back. That's like patching a sinking boat with paper towels. It's the same flawed logic some couples use when the relationship starts to fall apart. What do? Let's have a baby. Yeah, sure. Because adding a third human to a crumbling foundation always fixes things, right? I've heard this story 100 times. A guy comes into a session and says, everything's falling apart at home. We live with my in-laws, her sister's family, 3 dogs, 2 cats, and my paralyzed grandfather. It's a circus. So what's their grand plan? Have a kid. Because obviously, the dogs will magically leave, the grandfather will recover, and the parents will hand over the deed to their condo. Spoiler, they won't. And the kid won't save anything. Just like sex won't turn uncertainty into commitment. So here's the takeaway, straight from me to you. If you feel like calling him, call him. Once. Briefly. Kindly. And then go live your life. Don't cling. Don't explain. Don't pour your soul into his silence. And don't ever hand someone more of you than they've earned. You're not a test run. You're not a band-aid. You're not here to patch holes in someone else's empty space. If he wants you, he'll show up. If not, that's your exit sign. Walk through it like you've got purpose, because you do. So here he is. Back again. The same guy you built something with. The same guy who vanished. Now he's texting on a Wednesday like nothing happened. The divorce? It happened. The kid? Well, I'm kind of a weekend dad now. He shrugs. And you? You're left wondering, what the hell is this? How did we go from forever to somehow? Here's the thing, we think we're past it, right? Past the wondering, the pain, the what-ifs. But this stage, the uncertainty, the I don't know what we are anymore chapter, is just as important as the first date, maybe more. A lot of people try to skip it. Fast track straight to, we're fine now. But when you skip uncertainty, you don't delete it, you delay it. And when it comes back, it hits hard. Way harder. You might be sitting there, 3 kids deep, questioning whether this person should have ever been your person in the first place. Now that's a scary kind of doubt. And here's something most people won't say out loud, but I will. Doubt is healthy. It means you're thinking. It means your mind isn't just following your hormones off a cliff. It means you care enough to ask yourself the hard questions before making big decisions, like starting a family or building a life. A woman should never sleep with a man she doesn't trust. Period. And not just trust him to show up with flowers. Trust him with her safety, her stability, her future kids. If you can't picture him carrying the load with you, not just passing through biologically, then what are we doing here? And yes, I know, doubts often come after intimacy. That's when it stings the most. Because physical closeness bonds us. It amplifies everything, joy, confusion, insecurity. Suddenly, you're questioning your worth, your choices, your instincts. And a man? He might see your doubt and take it as a personal attack. He starts thinking, wasn't I enough? Was something wrong with me? That's what this emotional fog does. It messes with both people. She wonders if she gave too much too soon. He wonders if she's pulling away because of him. And all those comparisons begin. Maybe I should have stayed with someone else. Maybe there's someone better out there. Maybe she's not the one, after all. But here's what wise people know. Comparison kills clarity. If a man is truly serious about getting to know one woman, he needs to stop shopping, stop scrolling, stop texting others, stop leaving the door cracked open, just in case. Because the moment you bring other options into the equation, you poison the potential of what you're building with her. See, falling in love doesn't require perfection. It doesn't demand doves, wedding bells, and heaven's gates. That stuff is hormone theater, testosterone, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, all thrown in a blender with a shot of adrenaline and fear. Boom, your love smoothie. But the real thing? That steady, lasting, unshakable connection? That comes later, after the chemical rush fades. So yes, uncertainty will come. It should come. But don't be afraid of it. Doubts aren't the death of a relationship. They're the test. And how you handle them, that tells you everything about the future you're building. Let me give it to you straight. When you're still in that early stage, where nothing's been defined, where no one owes anyone anything, I always tell women, don't close the door on other options too fast. Don't isolate yourself emotionally just because one guy happens to text first, show up with flowers, or take you to a halfway decent restaurant. Keep your world open. I'm not talking about juggling lovers or leading people on. I'm talking about having suitors, people in your life who show you attention, respect, curiosity. That attention? It keeps your emotions in check. It reminds you that this one guy is not your last train out of town. Because when a woman starts to believe that he is, whether from fear, cultural pressure, or biology, she latches on. And once she attaches too soon to a man who hasn't earned it, hasn't committed, hasn't even made his intentions clear, that's when the pain starts. You ever seen it? A woman starts acting like a wife, cleaning, cooking, checking in on his day, emotionally investing as if the papers are signed and the rings are on, when, in truth, he's still on the fence. And why is she doing all this? Not because she just feels like it, but because her mind is trying to justify why she's in a physical relationship with someone who hasn't actually committed to her. It's easier to tell herself, "This is my future husband," than to admit, "I gave myself to someone who hasn't given himself to me." So what does she do? She steps up, taking care of him, defending him, standing by him like he's earned her loyalty. And then one day, she expects him to act like a husband in return. But he doesn't. Because to him, nothing's changed. He never made that promise. And now, it all falls apart. That's the moment it hurts the most. Not the beginning. Not even the sex. It's when she realizes she's been auditioning for a role he never planned on casting. And here's the wild part. If we lined up 10 people and asked who's more likely to rush into something physical without thinking it through, 9 out of 10, it's gonna be the guy. Not always, but usually. So what should women do with those early doubts? Don't ignore them. Don't silence them with whine and hope. And definitely don't try to smother them with good behavior, thinking you can earn your way into security. Instead, use that uncertainty as a compass. Now, let's talk about courtship for a second. We're all so confused these days about who should do what, when, and why. But traditionally, when it comes to the dating phase, the man takes the lead. He invites, he plans, he offers. Not because women are weak, but because that's how men test themselves. That's how we figure out how serious we are. And no, that doesn't mean he should be handing out money or paying your rent just because he likes your smile. That's not courtship. That's a transaction. That's not love. That's a red flag. A real man invests in experiences, not payoffs. He takes you out, not because he's buying your attention, but because he's measuring how it feels to give to you. And he's also figuring something out. Can I really build something with this woman? Is this someone I want to provide for, support, grow with? And believe me, he knows his budget. If being with you feels like financial burnout before there's even a commitment, he'll pull back. Not out of spite, but out of reality. So ladies, let a man pursue. Let him show his interest. But don't hand over your heart, or your body, before he's shown he can carry the weight of both. Let me paint the picture. A woman comes from modest roots. Maybe she grew up sharing space in a dorm, living on instant noodles. Nothing wrong with that. It builds grit. But then one day, she's sitting across from a billionaire in some five-star restaurant ordering lobster like she's been doing it since birth. And you can see where this might go sideways. Why? Because wanting the finer things isn't the problem. It's skipping the process that trips people up. If you're not ready to operate in that world, if you don't know a soup spoon from a dessert fork, it's okay. No shame in that. But don't pretend you belong somewhere you're still learning how to navigate. You don't need to fake luxury to be worthy of love. Show up as you are, and grow into what fits you, not what flatters you. Now let's shift to the other side. The modern idea that everyone pays for themselves. Sounds fair on paper. Clean. Equal. But here's the truth. Dating isn't an invoice. It's a dynamic. A man paying on a date isn't about economics. It's about intention. It's his way of saying, I wanted this moment. I made the effort. I've got it. But lately, there's this trend, especially in places trying to emulate European logic, where folks think splitting the bill is the ultimate proof of equality. Don't get attached. Don't owe anybody. Everyone pays their share. Okay, sure. If that's your lifestyle, cool. Go for it. But don't act surprised when that attitude bleeds into the relationship. Because if he's trained to split the bill on the first date, don't be shocked when he's counting his half of the electric bill 5 years later. You set the tone from the start. A man should pay if he invited you. That's not control. That's class. And yes, a woman can absolutely pay if she was the one who extended the invitation. If she says, let's get coffee, my treat, then let her own that. That's just good manners. But ladies, here's a secret that says more than 1,000 conversations. If you go out with a guy and offer to pay, and he lets you, doesn't even blink, doesn't insist, doesn't reach for his wallet, that's not just about money. That's about interest. And chances are, he's just not that into you. Flip it the other way. You want to break things off with a guy without the drama? Call the waiter, look him in the eye, and say, can you split the check, please? A healthy man will get the message without needing subtitles. He'll be hurt, maybe even offended. But at least it's clear. And if he doesn't get it? If he just shrugs and says, cool, no problem, and walks out like nothing happened, then guess what? You were right to walk. He wasn't invested anyway. Because here's the deal. Healthy men don't get insulted because of money. They get insulted because of meaning. They pay not because they're buying your time, but because they value the moment enough to invest in it. So don't reduce everything to the math. Money matters, yes. But in love, meaning matters more. So let's sum it all up before someone tries to split the emotional bill in half. Relationships today aren't just complicated. They're a full contact sport with invisible rules, unclear roles, and more plot twists than a late-night soap opera. We've got men afraid to call, women afraid to wait, and everybody trying to look emotionally invincible while secretly Googling, why didn't he text back? Here's the truth, plain and unfiltered. Real connection isn't about games. It's not about perfectly timed texts, carefully split checks, or pretending not to care when you're already halfway in love with someone who still thinks you're just hanging out. It's about alignment. About knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and having the guts to say it out loud. It's about being brave enough to admit when you're not sure, and wise enough to not confuse temporary chemistry with long-term commitment. And no, ladies, sleeping with a man isn't a shortcut to being loved. Just like cooking his favorite meal doesn't mean he's going to propose. And fellas, buying a woman dinner doesn't mean she's obligated to stick around if your personality checks out before dessert. This whole idea that love needs to come wrapped in control, confusion, or financial strategy. Throw it out. Give it a proper funeral. Play the sad violin if you must. What matters more than anything is mutual clarity. You want to invest in someone? Cool. Just make sure you're not the only one doing the investing. You want to be cherished? Then don't hand over your piece just because someone shows up with charming eyes and inconsistent effort. Doubt? It's part of the process. So is confusion. So is the occasional emotional U-turn. But don't ever let that doubt silence your standards. Now, before we go, let's lighten up for a second. If you ever feel tempted to text him for the 4th time in a row, or if you're already planning the wedding after date 2 because he smelled like your childhood crush, take a deep breath. Go eat something. Hydrate. Call a friend. Or better yet, watch one of our other videos. Because yes, we've got more coming. A whole series, actually, packed with tools, stories, uncomfortable truths, and some straight-up survival tactics for dating without losing your mind, your time, or your self-worth. And hey, if this video hit a nerve, made you laugh, or gave you that "dang, I needed to hear that" moment, don't forget to like, share, comment, or do whatever internet magic keeps this content alive. There's more coming. We'll talk about healthy boundaries, how to spot a walking red flag from a mile away, why some men vanish like unpaid parking tickets, and why being too much is exactly what the right man will crave. Until then, live boldly, date wisely, and remember, if he makes you pay for your crab salad, it's not just a bad date. It's divine intervention.